Ladies and gentlemen, coming in at 6'2", 230 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, Glasgow, Scotland's own Roddy Piper.
I'm proud to be here. And I got my best friend, comedian Earl Skakel.
Who cares about me?
But because you're a wrestling impresario, I've never met anybody that knows wrestling pro wrestling as well as you do.
Well, I got a lot of time on my hands.
I don't know. You're every night at the Comedy Store. Everybody's coming to see you. I know I do. There was one at the Comedy Store I heard where Joe Rogan and somebody was going to be there last Wednesday. I tried to make it.
Yeah, no, Joe's there a lot when he's in town. You know, that UFC keeps him running around almost as much as the WWE keeps you running around.
Brutal. Brutal. I can't handle the time zones anymore.
Yeah.
I get so tired coming back.
Well, I mean, it's...
Let me whine some more.
No, listen.
It's killer.
You've earned it to whine.
We have a really, really cool guest coming up. I know I'm scared to death. I don't know about anybody else. Let me tell you a little bit about this guy's dad. Okay? The guest that I'm about to bring on, and his dad's name was Johnny Valentine. Now, Johnny Valentine hit so hard and moved so slow. He would always go 45, 50 minutes in a match, and he was like the real deal. And one time I'm in Houston, maybe like 16 years old, and Johnny Valentine, who was always on the last match, come in the dressing room, and I kind of was in the way, trying to leave. I didn't mean to. And he snatched me by the throat, and he slammed me up against the wall. And he said to me, "I can't make you believe wrestling's for real, but I sure to hell can make you believe I am." And I based half my career on that. I don't know why he did that to me, why he passed on that piece of knowledge, but it's important here because of the guest that I'm going to have on in just a bit. But I also want to tell you a little bit more about Johnny Valentine, because then you're going to appreciate my guest even more. There's a very famous rib war Johnny Valentine had with Jay York, and I kind of got to flush it out here a little bit. Johnny Valentine had a very unique talent, and what he would do is, back then, a lot of the boys wore cowboy hats, different kind of hats, and Johnny Valentine could squat down, and he could take a poop in your hat, but the exceptional part of it was he could put the Dairy Queen whip on it.
That is a talent.
That's a talent, come on, just like Dairy Queen. And him and Johnny Valentine and Jay the Alaskan York kind of had some words back and forth. So, transferred to Calgary, Canada in the middle of the winter. Jay's in a house with some gals, and Johnny was in there, and Johnny got the garden hose, and he attached it inside to the faucet, ran it outside to where Jay had a brand new Cadillac convertible, but it's like 30 below. Johnny breaks the window and puts the hose inside the car. In the morning, it's just one piece of solid ice, and Johnny's gone. Okay. I don't know, a little time goes by, and the next time that Johnny Valentine and Jay York are together, Johnny Valentine was in Manhattan, and he was in, those bars stay open till 5 in the morning. Jay, in retaliation, went and rented a huge, real deal arc welding truck with angle iron, and he watched while this man angle ironed Johnny Valentine's car to like the parking meter, to the metal on the post. I mean, just a really nice job of angle ironing. And Johnny Valentine came out whenever he did, the angle iron guy was gone. And like they say, Johnny Valentine didn't even see that the car was angle iron. And he got in the car and he turned it on and he slapped it down into drive and, he's trying to, sparks are flying and smokes are going. And so he slams it into reverse and, like, what's wrong with this stupid guy? Nothing. And so I guess he was going in to call AAA and he fell over the angle iron. And that's how Johnny discovered his car was angle iron. So a little time goes by. Jay York, after his match, he had asthma. And I don't know if you remember those, they had glass. You put your asthma medicine in glass and kind of like a rubber bulb girl with the
inhalers.
Inhalers, yeah, back in the day. And so Jay would come back from his match and go, and he'd be fine. Well, Jay York was out wrestling. Johnny Valentine threw out the medicine and filled it full of lighter fluid. So Jay York comes back. Boom. Did a 180 and he's down. Johnny goes to the ring. Again, Johnny always, he's a hell of a man. And took him 45, 50 minutes to beat his opponent. And, meanwhile, Jay had gained his senses. Now, Jay, who's nobody to be messed with, he goes out and tells the police, hey, listen, I got a couple of M80s, which is a really big firecracker. So if you hear a couple of bangs, don't worry about it. And Jay York came in, and Johnny Valentine was taking a shower. And Jay York come out. He had one of those three-quarter length kind of coats on, kind of like a...
trench coat?
Yeah, trench coat. Thank you. That's why you're here. Bless your heart. And from beneath it, he brings out a sawed-off shotgun. And Johnny comes to the door of the shower, and Jay's going to kill him. And I asked Jay, why didn't you kill him? Because when Johnny Valentine looked at me, he smiled, and he didn't believe I was going to kill him. And Jay took the sawed-off shotgun and leaned it to the right, and boom! And blew a hole in Johnny Valentine's Halliburton as big as 2 rounds ago. And you're talking a small dressing room. Very loud piece of business. Then Johnny Valentine went to his car, and everybody got Jay settled down. And Johnny Valentine went to his car and started. It wouldn't start. They picked up the hood, and under the hood, the car was wired with dynamite. Jay was a demolition guy in the Marines. But he didn't plug it into the distributor. And just left a note saying, see how close you came. So now everybody's going, especially the promoters, guys, it's getting a little hot around here. Let's just back off the rails and have a good time. I'll buy the beer. Okay. So, I don't know, 3 weeks later, whatever you want to say, Jay York comes into the dressing room. Johnny Valentine is just about to come out of the same kind of setup, come out of the shower, and Jay pulls out a .357. And he says, I told you, you son of a bitch, if you ever messed with me again, I'd kill you. And boom! And Johnny Valentine, boom, right in the chest, grabs his chest, blood, boom, Johnny Valentine, he's down on his back. Now, Jay's got the gun pointed straight ahead. So imagine in your head, the benches on his left and right side were where the boys were, the wrestlers. The one on the right side furthest down was Harley Race. We all used to pack back then. And Harley Race had a towel over his piece. And Jay started he had this wild eye thing going. And Jay started turning his body I think Jay was kind of going to turn around, but he was coming all close to Harley. And Harley said, Jay, put the gun down. Jay's still turning. Jay, put the gun down. Harley Race is about to shoot Jay York. At that time, Johnny Valentine, like the Undertaker, he comes up. It was a pack of ketchup that they had set us up with, and it was just a rib on the boys. That's the dad of the gentleman I'm about to introduce you to.
I think that explains a lot about his son.
How hard it would be to be Johnny Valentine's son. I'm going to take a break. And when I come back, ladies and gentlemen, so honored to have Greg the Hammer Valentine right after this break. Woo! We're back. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how you introduce a man like Greg the Hammer Valentine other than he is a consummate professional wrestler. He's respected by everybody across the board. He always got put in the hardest of matches, and he never failed. He's been an enemy, a friend, more than a friend, a best friend, and we've been enemies in the ring. There's nobody any better than this man. He's a Hall of Famer. He's everything you could ever want to be, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Greg the Hammer Valentine. Ow!
Yeah.
Are you there?
What do you got, a live studio audience? Oh, my God.
You can't believe how many people came in when I said I'm going to have Greg the Hammer Valentine on the air. You know, I love you.
Love you, too.
Hey, bud, you know, I was just in Detroit with Greg, and I was telling these guys, so Greg hasn't lost his sense of humor. Greg took me, what's the name of the guy that was Rob? Rob
Abram.
Yeah. So Johnny's with, or Greg, pardon me, is with this Rob, and you take me out to a fair, and you let me go on a fair. And Greg's standing back laughing as I'm getting mobbed. And the only place I could get away was on these swings, and they just went in a circle. But I didn't know the swings went way high, and I'm afraid of heights. So I spent my weekend trying to climb down.
You were 200 feet up in the air on a little swing.
That's because of you.
You didn't even know, you know.
You know.
But now that explains why you wanted to be on the rides, because you wanted to get away from the mob. The people just, you know, they'd already seen me there a couple of years before, but they mobbed Roddy.
Oh,
They look at young girls. They really liked it.
Thank you very much, Gregory. I can remember you and I a long time ago, before WrestleMania anything, coming out of the garden, Madison Square Garden. You were driving. At that time, you had a Cadillac and a husky dog and a beautiful wife named Julie. And we couldn't get out, and people were rocking the car. And so Gregory just puts the hammer down, slips over the curb, gets on the sidewalk of the other side, and they were doing construction. There was a huge sheet of wood, and Greg, I don't know how we didn't hit somebody.
I know.
It was a different time back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, we bounced out on 8th Avenue on the other side and just kept going like nothing ever happened. We just, you know, I couldn't believe I did it either without hitting somebody or going down into the subway entrance.
Yeah, we have angels. We have angels watching us, Gregory. Just help me out with the audience, Greg. Like, I told a story about your daddy. And you know, I don't know if you heard, but when I was in Houston for Paul Bosch, your daddy was just coming back from the ring, and you probably remember the dressing room. And he grabbed me by the throat and slammed me against the wall and said, you know, I can't make you believe wrestling's for real, but I sure to hell can make you believe I am. And I based half my career on what your dad said.
Well, one time I was sleeping at his apartment in Dallas, and he slapped me over the head while I was sleeping. I woke up, and half my head feels like it's off my shoulder. And he says, "Get up, you son of a bitch. We're going on the road." So my dad just, you know, he had that real, what do you call it, manly...
alpha male.
Get up, you punk kid. So, you know, he didn't even know me, you know.
So, Greg, you were born in Cowlick County, is that correct?
Cowlick. No, it's called Cowlitz.
Oh.
Wait a minute, you got to say it. Cowlitz County, which is Longview, Washington, right?
Yeah.
And my dad was born in Seattle, Renton, and I went back and forth, but I never actually grew up with my father. I saw him. He used to come and see me when he was in the Pacific Northwest, watching me play baseball or whatever. And
nice. And
I didn't have much of a relationship till I was 17 years old, and he brought me down all of a sudden and went on the road with him. So that's...
But, hey, I didn't know something about you. I didn't know you went to college, man. Did you go?
Well, I went to I went about half a semester at college, and he called me up, and I hated it, so I was there by his side, and he flew me down to Dallas. So
Yeah.
it was called Lowland Columbia College in Longview, Kelso, Dallas County. It's called. I can't even say the real name of it.
I've been doing this for 30 years to grade. Cowlick County.
40 miles north of Portland, Oregon, where you grew up or where you live, I mean.
Yeah. So Johnny comes up finally, slaps you upside the head and says, come on. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I went on the road with him, and it was unbelievable. And this thing about where he grabbed you as you came into the Houston locker room and choked you or whatever and said, if you don't believe wrestling, you're going to believe me. He did the same thing with me, and I went around watching all these matches like in San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Dallas, and Houston, and they made the trip around all over the place. And I'm watching all these matches, and some are good, some are bad, but when I watched my dad, I went, holy Christ,
Different league.
Him and Fritz beating the hell out of each other, him and Wahoo. It was just a different thing, and I told him, he goes, so what do you think? And I go, well, I believe you, but the other guys are bullshit, and he got mad at me. I go, I could tell all this was, choreographed and pre-planned, and my dad was the real deal. And
oh, boy.
He's the one that drew the money and sold the tickets,
Yes, he is. He is. With me, too, so you know I have a great comedian and a wrestling impresario, I call him Earl Skakel, who's listening in. And so if he gets a question in there, it's coming from him and not me.
Well, I have tremendous respect for you, Mr. Valentine.
Oh, I love comedians. I always wanted to be a comedian.
I always wanted to be Kamala, so...
Well, gee. Well, okay.
I think I'm taller than him now.
That's funny. That's what you're teasing me now.
Hey, can I ask you a serious question, Mr. Valentine?
Sure.
Who did you want to beat the shit out of more, Honky Tonk Man or Brutus Beefcake?
They're running it close. Beefcake is as dumb as a box of rocks, and and Honky Tonk Man is as smart as a razor, but he has a forked tongue like a snake.
Whoosh.
So,
you know what? He tried to buy my name, Honky Tonk Man.
No, he bought somebody's name, the Patriot. This guy out there, this poor guy in North Carolina trying to make a dime, and he bought the rights to the Patriot, and nobody owned the Patriot. So I think he tried to buy. I escapes you right now, but he was looking for guys that didn't have their name trademarked. Can you imagine that?
Boy. Well, guys like you and I, our names are grandfathered in, so there's nothing you can do. But I'd be pretty hot if I was if I was still wrestling, I was The Rock or Steve Austin or whatever, and then some guy come and trademarked my name. Whoosh.
Well, the Patriot was the guy that they kind of tried to make people believe was the Ultimate Warrior. They kind of patterned him after the Warrior.
I never would have figured that out.
Yeah.
No, I mean neither. See, impresario. I don't even remember the Patriot.
Well, not a lot of people. The Patriot doesn't remember the Patriot.
Do you remember the Patriot, Greg?
I don't remember that. I can't pronounce the guy's name, but he's from Columbia, South Carolina. I mean, I can pronounce it. I don't know his real name, but he's a big guy.
I kind of remember.
Yeah, he was a shooter type guy,
Gotcha.
And Honky snatched the name from him, and so now he can't even use it. If he does, he has to pay Honky some money or something. I don't know how that works.
That about do it for me, I'll tell you. Where does Honky live now, just to waste
Phoenix,
us 30
Arizona.
seconds?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
Well, he must be Jewish with that line of business thinking.
He's, I don't know what's with Honker. I don't know what's with him. You think he's smart, Gregory?
Well, a lot of times I would, we'd really get along good and everything, and then he'd say bad things about me a week later. What the, I don't understand it. I don't like two-faced people. And there's a lot of them in every kind of business, but especially our business.
For sure.
And, you know.
For sure.
Like I can look at Roddy straight in the eyes. If I look at Honky straight in the eyes, he'll look somewhere else after about 30 seconds of me staring at him.
You know, I told these gentlemen here in this room, I haven't said it again, but like I think I might have got the nicest compliment in my life from you over the weekend. And Gregory doesn't say a whole lot, but I actually could see your eyes. You opened your eye. Oh, there you are. And Gregory said to me, he says, "No, you're real." And that's probably the best compliment, Gregory, I've ever had from anybody in our sport ever. It meant a lot to me. That's all. You know.
Yeah, and I know it because you're as real as they come. And there's a few other people in my life that are like that, and not necessarily in this business, but
yeah,
I don't think of anybody else in this business really. I mean, I haven't figured anybody out yet. But I love Tito Santana. He's a good man.
He's
and
a great man.
Ronnie Garvin's another good fellow.
Yeah, he's a great one. Rick Martel.
Yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter. You know.
The Grand Wizard.
Well,
God.
What did you think of the Grand Wizard?
I thought he was fabulous. And when I first went in way back in 1979 and they gave me the big push and he rode right along with me and he did everything for me and he didn't get paid anything extra. He just was a good friend and anybody that he had, that Vince put him with,
yeah,
you know, he would be there 150%. And I love the guy. We used to pop a few bowls together way back then.
Sure. Nice. Now tell me, Greg, because you were there way before I ever got there. Out of Grand Wizard, Freddie Blassie, and Captain Lou, who do you think was the best manager of the talent there, of those three guys?
That's hard to say, Roddy, because they were three different personalities. Of course, you know that. I had Captain Grand Wizard passed away, so. But then they put me with Captain Lou Albano. As far as the funniest, the zaniest, and the craziest, that would go to Captain Lou Albano.
Yeah.
Freddie was crazy too, but you know they were all so different. But you know that's way back, and then along comes Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart was like a Grand Wizard, but he had more talent as far as he could do everything, but he flipped all over the place.
Sometimes, like with the Grand Wizard, and again, this is just an observation on my part, I think that he might have concentrated on getting the talent he was with over more than himself, where Captain Lou, whose intentions were pure and we both love him, kind of if you weren't able to stand up yourself, you kind of get buried by Captain Lou just in his promos, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Wizard would back off, but back in the old days, you know, they had these managers, Vince Seeger did, because a lot of the wrestlers couldn't talk. They hadn't developed that art yet. And you know that getting over with the fans and everything is being able to talk for yourself.
For sure.
And, you know, so Wizard would back off if his guy could talk. And Captain Lou, he backed up from me because he let me talk, but I let him go his way, and it worked out good. So That's the whole thing. Yeah, these guys, you know, Freddie Blassie, they put him with Kamala, who can't talk, or one of the Samoans are good. So that's where that came from.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so what was the first territory, Greg, that you went to on your own? I guess I should just back up a little bit. I don't think people know that you went to the dungeon, or Stu Hart.
Yeah, my dad said, okay, you want to be a wrestler? You're going to Stu Hart, Canada. I go, oh, I hate Canada.
Quit pulling punches, would you?
I wanted to be a wrestler, right? So I went up there. I'm 19, 20 years old. I can't really remember which. Didn't matter. He picked me up in a limousine outside. It was 20 below zero. There was a limousine, so I was kind of impressed by that. And he feels my arms, and he goes, you got some big arms there, you bastard.
That would be Stu, yeah.
And then he took me up to the top of the hill, and it looked like Herman Munster's house on top of the hill. 25 cats running all over the place with dogs and kids.
Yeah.
I think he had 12 kids, 25 cats, and who knows how many dogs he had. Wrestled in the dungeon with him.
Oof.
I caught a horrible disease on my feet called impetigo.
Impetigo?
And I actually went to the hospital because my feet were in such bad shape and I had to scrape all the skin off of them.
From working in the dungeon?
Yeah, and he told everybody that it's because I had rotten feet. But another thing is I didn't have a pair of wrestling boots. My dad didn't send me with any wrestling boots, so there was an old-timer named Dave Rule, and he said, you need some boots. And I had a snake on the side of them, and that was my first boots. But, yeah, I got a horrible infection. It was unbelievable.
So how long were you there for?
Let's see, probably about 9 months.
And did you actually work the loop, or did you just have to do dungeon?
I actually worked the loop, and I was like a babyface / heel. They didn't know what to do with me, but I didn't know what to do either. I worked out with Stu, and all he did was hook up with me and show me how to throw a punch and show me how to fall backwards.
Yeah.
And that was like about 4 different sessions, and then I was in the ring, and my first match was against Angelo Mosca. I gave him 3 arm drags, and he stopped me and beat me 1, 2, 3.
Angelo's such an asshole.
So I just went from there, and I learned a little bit, but finally I begged my dad to get out of there. I had no money. He sent me a plane ticket, and I still had no money, and Abdul the Butcher loaned me $50 to get out of there.
Bless his heart, man. Oh, God.
I went to Detroit, hooked up with the Sheik, the original
The real Sheik.
I actually lived in his house for a couple months down in the basement with his son.
Brother, that's hard time. That's hard time you're talking about there. Eddie Ferret was the real Sheik.
He never taught me anything either. Nobody ever taught me anything. And there's a ring out there by the pool, and nobody ever got in the ring, and nobody taught me anything. So I went down and wrestled all through Ohio, Michigan, and still didn't know what the hell I was doing.
I love you. Nobody taught you a damn thing,
I
right?
knew nothing.
They just wanted you to work the territory so they could beat on you.
All I remember is I'd think about watching all my dad's matches, so I'd get in the ring and I'd stare at the people like he did.
Yeah.
And that would work for me, but after that, I didn't know what to do.
Hey, you said you caught Impetigo. I thought that was Tugboat's tag team partner.
Inappropriate Earl.
Who was that?
Earthquake and Tugboat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Poughkeepsie.
Hey, did you...
I don't know.
You know, I'm sitting with Mr. Piper and talking to you. I think you two are the 2 greatest heels ever. I mean, as a kid, I really hated both of you just because you sold yourselves as such assholes. But did you like being a heel or a face better? Because I know you guys both were both at certain points.
Well, mine was much shorter than Roddy's, but I hated being a good guy. You know, I'm all about. I want to piss people off, and they come to see me get my ass kicked, and that's how that's how I made my money.
Yeah.
But really, down deep, I am an asshole.
Well,
I'm a good-hearted asshole. That's what the difference is.
Did it help when your first heel run in the WWF that you were going up against Bob Backlund, who was such a goody two-shoe? Did that make it more extreme, your bad guy image?
Well, they heard that I could wrestle for a long time, so I had long matches, and Roddy will tell you. But if Bob Backlund, if you can't get him tired, he jumps around like Howdy Doody for the first 15 minutes, but he was in super shape.
Yeah.
And I go, we got to make some sense of this. So at least I had the knowledge to grab a hold and make him sell it. And he eventually got tired, so we do all these long matches, and he learned. I'm not going to say I totally taught him how to work, but I taught him how to take his time.
You settled him down.
I settled him down, exactly. And he trusted me, so
Yeah.
I'm glad he did, because, I mean, in a street fight or a shoot, he could have kicked my ass, you know.
Yeah, you know, he with Backlund, if he liked you or had respect for you, like he did for Greg, then he would learn, and he wouldn't have a problem learning. And he would take that, and the fact that you would be teaching him, somebody like Greg the Hammer, Valentine, be teaching him is like a real honor, and I'm sure Backlund looked at it that way too.
But you guys had some interesting matches, right? Maybe a
Me and Greg
dog collar match?
I just before, hang on. He'll be here soon. Don't get sausage fingers up in a roar here. For the first time, what? The first time.
That was Roddy's idea, but
I knew it.
we talked about it for about 5 minutes, and we went out and did it. And nobody, I mean, I think because it wasn't planned or anything, it was just, you know, we were taking it off the cuff, so to speak, and Roddy had worked with it before, so he kind of, I followed him a little bit in there, but I know I hurt Roddy, and then he hurt me back, and then we just said, screw it.
Whoa.
We're hurt already. Let's just go out and steal the show from Flair and Harley Race, and we did.
Yeah,
and people to this day, you know, I'd forgotten about that horrible match, the dog collar match, and people would never let me. I'm up in WWF, and they see me on the plane and go, "We've seen a lot of good matches, but holy Christ, that dog collar match!" So
you're right. We went for it.
It's on Roddy's video. It's on everybody's video, and when I watch it, I go, "I can't believe that was me and him doing that."
You know, the one thing that I think that people don't realize that in the 5 minutes that we had to figure out was, you know, that chain was 15-foot, like where you put logs on an 18-wheeler kind of chain, whatever you call that. And those two collars, 1.5 inches, and to come at each other right from the beginning gave too much chain. And, you know, then, you know, you're on your own. You had to pull away. We had to pull away from each other.
Thank God I had a thick neck.
Oh.
And you had one too, so we survived it.
It was, you know, I would wake. It's hard when I watch it, you know. The orders that we had was to go out and have the most brutal match possible so people would come back and see it. I think I missed the last part of it because I was up, okay, buddy, let's go for it. But not 15 times in a row or whatever we did.
The people saw the best one, which was the first one. Then you know, that was on pay-per-view and went all over the place. And that's the one that's on DVD and everything, but on YouTube and you name it, it's out there. They came around and said they were so happy with the results of it. You guys are going to do this in 15 more towns.
They have no idea. You know,
there's no way those matches were as good as that one because we already beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
You know?
It took...
they were still good, but, oh, my God.
You know what? I can remember it getting to the point... It went a long time for that kind of a match. Getting to the point where just everything was numb. I remember getting hit by you, and I would feel the shot kind of, but you were numb. Except one time, man, you had that chain wrapped around me twice, my teeth, my ears, and my eyes, and you were pulling on it, and then he drops an elbow on my head.
I'll tell you one story, and this is in your favor. We were wrestling in Wilmington, North Carolina, outdoors, and we'd already had these dog collar matches, or maybe we hadn't had them yet. I don't know. We were getting ready to. We were around the same time. It was outdoors. It started pouring down rain. We were the last match, so we went out there, and half the people were underneath the ring watching the match in the ring. They were underneath it. It was pouring down rain. And Roddy kept saying, "Go home." I go, "No, I ain't going home." And we just kept wrestling. There's water all over the place. Finally, Roddy is a boxer and a wrestler, right? So Roddy punched me about 4 times in the face. It looked like Muhammad Ali beating the hell out of Sonny Liston, and grabbed me by the head and bulldogged me from one corner to the next, and I swallowed a gallon of water across the ring. He almost killed me. Almost drowned me. And he goes, "Are we going home now?" And I go, "Yes."
It's a lot of beef to move when it doesn't move. I remember that. I do. It was brutal.
And I came into your dressing room, and you looked at me like I was mad, and I just started laughing. I go, "I deserved it."
But that was, even in those days back outside in the rain, Valentine just keep on the go. There's not that kind of dedication anymore, I don't think.
It was a damn rib. I was ribbing you. And screw that. You knocked me out and drowned me.
Yeah. One of the other things from that dog collar match was, I remember making it up, Jimmy Crockett is, the most brutal match. And so I got this bright idea of putting sheep's wool inside these 1.5-inch collars. Oh, and so I don't know what number, I'll guess 7 or something. The problem was, you get sweating with that 1.5-inch sheep's wool, and after number 7, Greg and I both had 1.5-inch rash that looked like herpes zoster 117. And I was putting baby stuff on mine because I just had a kid. You were wearing turtlenecks. Oh, and I remember you being down and you're hitting me hard in the ear and you're screaming at me. And I can't tell what you're saying. And I pull the blood clot out of my ear. And I don't know if you remember this. You were saying, only an idiot would put sheep's wool in a dog collar. You were so hot.
I had a rash. And George Scott says, just pour rubbing alcohol on it. Yeah. So I did that like an idiot, along with the Wahoo marks all over my chest, and I was miserable.
Before the dog collar match, we had some time as a tag team. Before the dog collar match, we had some time as a tag team. When I first came to Mid-Atlantic, I think was maybe the first time you and I hooked up, was it? Was that about when you and I started? I met you, maybe?
Yeah, you came in as a villain, heel, whatever, and we started making trips together. And
yeah.
And I went to New York, came back, and then you were still there. I ventured off to New York here and there, and kept going back and forth. And I come back, and then you were a baby face, and then they came up with this because I had the U.S. belt.
Yeah,
and we started that. So we had a long
haul.
Long haul of wrestling each other.
Yeah.
After, they'd already seen 10,000 Greg Valentine matches against Flair or Wahoo. So you were my next guy.
I was your next suspect. Your next. A lot of people don't realize that dog collar match was the very first pay-per-view ever, I believe. Starcade.
And it was exactly, and it was very first hardcore match.
That's right.
Before ECW and all that other corny shit.
Yeah, I don't think. Go. I don't think anybody does them anymore. If you do them right, it's so hard. Yeah.
They do it at Michael Vick's house with actual dogs.
Well. My buddy, man. You love him, Gregory. Hey, every morning, Greg broke his fingers are like sausages. His hands are so big, and he had a chain around, and it was my left ear, and it was bleeding, and he's working on it, and like the next morning, it broke the eardrum, and I went to sleep finally, and when I woke up and I sat up in the bed, the pillow came with me. It was glued to my head from all the stuff that was being drained out of it. And I remember one time putting hydrogen peroxide trying to fix it. Holy shit! Hurt.
Yeah. Your ear looked like the ear on the Elephant Man.
Oh, thank you, sir. I take that as a compliment. But the genitals were the same.
Remember when he used to that movie that just came out, and Roddy used to imitate the Elephant Man all the time.
I loved it.
All the trips together.
I loved it.
I'm a human being.
I'm a human being. I got to take a break. We'll be right back with Greg, the Hammer Valentine. Yeah, you doesn't get no better than this, man. Greg, the Hammer Valentine, talking to him on Piper's Pit Pod with Earl Skakel, a comedian and wrestler impresario, and Gregory, got a gentleman from Detroit that has called in.
Uh-oh.
And let's listen to him and see what he's got to say. Hello, Jimmy from Detroit. Are you there?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing, pal? I got Greg the Hammer Valentine this week, but I'm 3,000 miles away from him, so as little damage can be done to me.
Good.
Thank you.
So no chance of losing hearing in the other ear, huh?
Thank you very much. Did Valentine tell you to call?
No.
What are you thinking, Jimmy?
Not much. I actually just met you this weekend in Detroit, so it's a pleasure to talk to you again. Hang on, little man. Hang on, I'm on the phone. Hang on. But I was calling to ask you, with your background in boxing, and I believe it's judo, correct?
Correct.
Would you have done MMA if it was around before around wrestling instead of the wrestling?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. I would.
Really?
Yeah. My son is an undefeated MMA amateur fighter. And I was trained by Judo Gene LaBelle, who's toughest guy in the world. Not according to him either. But yeah, Greg, I don't know, Greg, would you, back in the day, would you have tried the MMA?
Yeah, probably, I probably would have. I was that crazy enough to try it. Actually, the wrestling we did back in those days, we beat each other up all the time and hard ways and stuff. That was like the MMA.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a different era. It was more a gunslinger era. I love the little little tyke that's on the phone with you.
MMA can do a lot
it's my
better.
little 3-year-old. His name's Connor.
Connor, very cool. Hug Connor.
Say hello, Mr. Piper.
Thank you. Hey, Connor.
Watch out.
Thank you. Yeah, look out. There's a future. Thank you very much, Jimmy. They all know you, Gregory. But for one thing is that everybody in the business, you're steady, you're solid, and you're always going forward. And that never changes about a Valentine. It's not very many people that can keep, you know how to pace yourself. And you stay in that pace. Is that something that comes from your dad? And you're talking about your dad, getting you into the business, and then now you went to Stu Hart, and boom, we got talking about the dog collar. But and I'll come back to you in a second. But when, if you did you work the same territory as your dad? Did you ever have that honor?
Actually, yeah, the Carolinas, because my dad, when he was in a plane crash, he was the top dog in the Carolinas and the Mid-Atlantic, and he went down, and Ric Flair was with him in a plane crash, and plus my dad was paralyzed from the waist down, so I did that Mid-Atlantic thing, and of course my dad was big with Vince Sr. in the 60s in the WWF back in those days, so.
Gotcha. That plane, what year was that the plane went down?
1975.
1975. Holy cow. And so then Johnny, it broke his back?
Broke his back in 6 places.
Whoosh.
I went to see him in a hospital, and then they sent him to Houston. And as you can imagine, Wilmington, North Carolina are not the best hospitals.
Yeah.
They were actually rolling him every night, and they shouldn't have moved him at all because he had a broken back, an idiot. So he went for this experimental operation where they stuck a steel rod up his backbone to hold it together.
Yeah.
And he actually could walk with crutches, and he didn't have to be in a wheelchair all the time, and that was good for my dad.
Yeah. I can remember the Cauliflower Alley Club. Your dad was needed attention. The only reason I bring this up, and you know how much respect I have for your dad, but one of the things that our business doesn't supply is health insurance. And your dad was having, he needed to get to a hospital, and we didn't. There was no health insurance. And the Cauliflower Alley Club, my credit to them for trying to raise the money to get Johnny there, and then we lost him.
We lost my dad because he tripped over. They were making some new steps at his house, and they had these cement guys or whatever, landscape guys, and guys that were building the steps. They left everything just trashed, and he tried to get out, tripped over him, and he re-broke his back, and he went to the hospital and suffered for 8 months and then passed away of pneumonia.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, pneumonia. Yeah. Did you get a chance to see your dad like within a month or 2 months of the time he passed away?
I went twice to see him at the hospital. He was in a real nice hospital, like a private deal.
Yeah.
And he was setting up, and he wasn't conscious, but I remember this female black nurse came in and screamed, "Johnny Valentine, your son is here." Opened his eyes, and he grabbed my hand and squeezed it. And then I came back, that was it. That's all he could do. He couldn't talk. And then a few days later, we did the same thing. And then I went back to work for Vince and had to get back to work. And he let go. He passed on. So I'd like to think that he was waiting for me to say goodbye to him,
I think so.
I didn't.
I think he loved you.
I would hope he was going to recover, but when I saw the shape, my dad had a big, huge head. It was like I walked in there, and it was like some big giant and this some huge, big giant sitting in a bed, hospital bed, and couldn't move. And I prayed to God that he would take him and let him go,
Yeah.
That's what happens. So.
That's what happened.
He was Big John from Seattle. I think of that song.
You and I are reminiscing about your dad, and there was some guy. You'll remember this better than I will, Greg. Back in the day, some that had didn't get along with Mr. Valentine Sr., Johnny, and so they were just going to shoot. And the referee called them together, set them the rules. And then I guess, go back to your corners, and the guy turned, and Johnny Valentine when he turned, just walked behind him until he turned around, cold clocked him, whop! That was the end of that day.
Yeah, he hit it twice and broke his jaw. But I'm glad, when you were asking me about things and dates that I got coming up, I'm glad we're talking about my dad again, because I've got a guy working on his book. I got the manuscripts from my dad, and it's called Johnny Valentine Ribs. And the book's going to be out hopefully sometime this year, if not next year, because I'm having difficulty finding real good, high quality pictures to put in the book. But it's all about Johnny Valentine's ribs, not so much about wrestling and all that, the stuff that the people don't know anything about, except what we told him or what we have told him today. We 3 or 4 of the ribs with Jay York and other things like my dad, peeing on. I don't know what
what you can say, what you can't say, right? And at any year, your dad doing some other stuff.
I don't want to give up all the good stuff in the book, but it's real juicy.
Gotcha.
He could take a styrofoam cup and poo-poo on the cup and make it look like it's from Dairy Queen with a twist on the top.
That's a talent. I'm telling you, that's a talent.
No, but I've never seen anybody with a talent like that.
No. I wonder how he started practicing.
I don't know how he. I don't know how he kept his poo-poo that solid.
He was a genius.
Hey, I have a degree in marketing, and I think for the Mr. Valentine, I know we don't know each other, so I hope you don't get offended by this business idea I'm going to throw at you. But since the name of the book has ribs in it, I think you should do a book signing at Abdullah's Ribs in Georgia.
Exactly, and I got his card, and he would love that.
He would too.
Yeah, he would love that, and I'm going to go to a couple of rib fests. It's going to be called Johnny Valentine's Ribs.
Johnny Valentine's Ribs.
Yeah, that's the name of the book.
Okay.
And I got a little part in it, but mainly it's his wife, not my mother, but his wife. She passed away. She's got a little thing in the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
And then it's all dad's, fantastic ribs. Fantastic ribs. I mean, just ribs you can't believe,
It's incredible. And you're going to be in Manhattan June 13th and 14th at the Comic-Con. You're going to Sturgis August 6th to 10th. Now that you've seen whatever the thing happened, was it Waco with the motorcycle guys?
Yeah.
What are your feelings on that kind of stuff?
Well, I hated to hear that, but I don't think we'll have the Mongols or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I don't think, but I know that the motorcycle people and Hells Angels have all been involved with, selling drugs or whatever, getting drugs. And I don't care about that. I don't want to even mess with that. But I think the people in Sturgis these are lawyers and everybody and doctors that want to ride on bikes. And there's still a lot of good Hells Angels. I mean, it takes a lot to make a world, and this was just a couple idiots down there that...
Yeah.
I hate toting guns, because that's what it happens,
It's interesting. So, okay, Gregory, let me ask you something. Because we're talking to a man that's been around the world so many times. One of the men I have the most respect for, not in just professional wrestling, just as a man's man. What is your, if you have one, I can't say one, you probably have more than one, your best times, your best territory, the best guy you wanted to work with, the best when everything was going your way. When was that, bud? Or is it right now?
Well, the only thing good about right now is I don't have to work every day, but I still enjoy getting in the ring once in a while, and I enjoy my life now. I really do. I mean, I'm always thinking forward. I'm not looking backward. And I mean, I regret a few things I didn't. Like I could have saved more money and stuff, but could have made different investments on the beach and stuff. But I'm looking forward and thinking forward and thinking, and I'm thinking that these are the happiest days of my life. And I can talk to you on the phone and talk about what we did 30 years ago, and we lived it. We lived through it, and we lived through all these airplanes to Europe and Japan and everything. I'm just happy to be alive.
Me too.
Man, guys that I enjoyed working with, I couldn't pinpoint it down to one.
No.
I was the kind of guy that if I couldn't work with somebody, I'd slam them in the middle of the ring, and I'd work around them. And I learned how to work around them. That was Johnny Valentine's advice. And of course, I enjoyed working with you, Roddy.
Thank you.
I enjoyed working with. I actually didn't enjoy working with Flair. I didn't like working with Flair.
Yeah, how come?
He always blocked my chops and shit.
Yeah.
I'd open up for him, but he would block my chops.
How about Wahoo?
But at least I broke his nose, for real.
A lot of target there, too. How about Wahoo Mcdaniels? Holy cow. Talking about chop.
Wahoo used to tell everybody that he beat me tough. So
that's the truth.
In other words, I wasn't tough, and he beat me till I got tough. And I told you a story the other day. Finally hauled off and hit him as hard as I could, and I knocked him down. And he respected it. And after that, he still hit me hard, but there was a mutual respect there.
Yeah.
And I loved working with Tito Santana. We made tons of money together. And Hogan.
Yeah.
Hogan, I love working. I could work with everybody. It's hard to pinpoint.
Sure.
Ricky Steamboat was great. There's some guys you had the guy, this business, even though it hurts and we bleed and everything, and at least we used to. They don't bleed now, but we beat the hell out of each other. But you know what? I don't know why, but it was fun. And if you couldn't have fun out in the ring, you wouldn't draw money.
That's true.
Talk about getting hurt, being fun, that's crazy. But I'm just thinking, boy, he nailed me, but look at the money coming.
There you go. That's where, I believe, that's where even Flair got the chop from, was from Wahoo, wasn't it?
But he wouldn't take the chop. I guess Wahoo shell-shocked him so many times, he wouldn't let me chop him anymore.
Hey, Mr. Valentine, you were talking earlier about being politically correct, and I remember a series of dog collar matches you had with the great Junkyard Dog, where you cut some, let's just say, interesting promos. Did you? Were you given the green light on those?
I never did a dog collar match with. He just wore that on his interview.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't do a dog collar match with him. It would be horrible because he never knew how to work. The thing about JYD is he had tons of charisma. He's the kind of guy I'm talking about where you slam him in the middle of the ring, and you walk around him and you work around him. And if you can do that, because the guy had tons of charisma, you do most of the match, beating him down and letting him have one comeback, everybody's going to think that was a hell of a match.
That's a professional talking right there.
It's me doing all the work, but I'm not going to let him walk around me and drag me all around when, he was a. I mean, Hogan's the same guy. I mean, he can work a little better than JYD, but not much.
No.
It's working. These guys were over with the people with the charisma, and all you had to do is grab them by the nose and hit them, and the people would go, oh, and then all you had to do is hit you one time, and oh,
That's just what happened in Hogan's sex tape.
Yeah.
I'm a born heel. So are you, Gregory.
Yeah.
But I did come up with a thing. You know what? Villains make heroes. That's what we did for a living. We made you heroes.
Well, I hated a lot of people, and I still hate a lot of people. But at the same time, I respect them too.
Yeah. With Wahoo, just to get back to Wahoo for a second with the chops. Wahoo used to put jock tape on his fingers, and when I don't know as many times as you fought that old Indian man, and I never seen him give up. He'd chop me, and it would take the meat off my chest, and my chest would bleed every night. Till finally, I think it just got calloused over. He was brutal.
Hey, my wife said I had skin cancer, and there was this thing from Wahoo that it would never heal. It's scar tissue. So I went in, and the guy checked me out, and he goes, "That's just scar tissue that's never healed, and it's never going to heal. He's got to keep, moisturizer on it."
I got the same thing. I
got scars all over my chest.
On the left-hand side, I got scars still to this day where he just kept peeling the meat off.
And every once in a while they break open.
Yep.
And then I got one right now. I'm sitting on the phone while I'm talking to you guys. By the way, I'm on the beach.
I bet.
Clearwater.
Nice.
Clearwater Beach, but I keep Band-Aids in certain places because the sun will eat them up and I'll crack and burn,
So do you remember well the days in Poughkeepsie? Or even better than that, wait a second. Like Greg Valentine has an interview style that is perfect for him that he did himself. He constructed it, he figured it out, and Greg Valentine did it. Gregory, we used to, every Tuesday, we would have to kick off in the morning in Mid-Atlantic, 92-minute and 54-second interviews, and then we'd drive to Raleigh and wrestle. Was that not a great crash course?
Absolutely. We did them at some Channel 36 in Charlotte, and we'd be there from 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock, and then drive to Raleigh, and 150 miles away on a 2-lane road, and the cops are waiting for us, and always pulling us over, and we get there barely in time to wrestle, and then head back to Charlotte. So I mean, as far as, twice on Saturdays we wrestled and got in a small plane, and Sundays twice we wrestled, got in a small plane, so it was a track meet galore.
Yeah.
And the WWF was a cakewalk compared to that. We were ready for it.
We were ready for it. No kidding.
That's why WWF became such a huge commodity, is because guys like me and you, and I'm going to put me and you over because, as far as I'm concerned, we were the best. And guys like us turned that whole thing around, and they're still making tons of money because of what we started.
I agree with you 100%.
We had the platform, but they put us there, and they gave us the ball like a quarterback, and we went with it,
And we had plenty of practice carrying the ball by that time. Either one of us.
The Mid-Atlantic, we were seasoned veterans.
Oof, you betcha. We'd drive one, it'd be Norfolk. What's the one before Norfolk? One was 330, one was 300. Damn it.
The mileage. There was Richmond, Virginia. And then we do Norfolk, and there was one even 30 miles past that. That was,
I can't remember.
But then there was a Charlottesville, and there was
Roanoke. I hated Roanoke. And the amount of talent.
All the time. It was still all the time, but it was like a fairly large city, but it was in the middle of the mountains. I can't even talk anymore. In the middle of the mountains, and it was just unbelievable.
Some serious moonshine there. Swede Hanson, you remember Swede Hanson?
Absolutely.
One time, Bob Backlund's in the ring with Swede Hanson.
I'm going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go, you tell it.
Well, he didn't have much else except that big chop. So he bent Backlund in over the ring, and he hit him with that chop. And it's the first time I've seen Backlund go down on his knees in the first 10 minutes of the match. He locked the wind out of him. So he let him know who he was in the ring with.
Yeah, and everybody back then.
Everybody, though,
Yeah, the talent pool that they had just in the Mid-Atlantic. They had the Briscoes, Ricky Steamboat, Dusty Rhodes, Greg Valentine, Ricky Steamboat, I might have said that, Jay Youngblood, keep it going, Flair, Mulligan. Who else do we have at that time?
Well, but Sergeant Slaughter, then there was Bill Eadie, who was a demolition superstar, came up there.
Yep. Ray Stevens.
Ray Stevens, yes.
Oof.
They kind of did. Ray Stevens and Buddy Rogers actually did kind of a pre-Piper Pit show. That's where they kind of got the idea.
Yep.
Before you came and did that.
They sure did. So, Ray Stevens and I used to drive the exact same car. It was a Yellow Canary. Remember my Yellow Canary, Lincoln Mark IV, whatever it was?
I remember one just like that.
So Ray, I don't know if I told you. So Ray Stevens is going, we're taking a pee. Wham! Ray Stevens goes on by. And so we had that spotlight. And boom, Martell's in the driver's seat. Boom, I'm after Ray. And we took my kilt and doubled it over. And we had that spotlight. And I could see Ray. And we started hitting the spotlight rhythm at the same time I was hitting the... hitting the brights and lows. There's the red light. You can see all of a sudden a bottle of Crown Royal go out the window. Boom, boom, and he pulls over, and I have somebody moon him, and we have a great time. I forgot that Carol, his wife, was in the car, and we thought we were pretty cool. And Gary, you're going to know this. About 5 minutes later, all of a sudden, I'm going, 60, 70. All of a sudden, boom, boom, Ray's on my bumper. And he's pushing me through those little towns in the Carolinas that are 20, 30 miles an hour. He's got me up to like 70, 75. And there's a cardinal rule. They would push you. And if you stepped on the brake, everybody's going to die. And I think that was probably the end of my ribbing days.
They played bumper cars.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I just wanted to say one thing about my dad and Ric Flair. Used to make some trips together, and so my dad is coming back from Raleigh, and Rick is drinking the beers, and he goes, "Oh, I got to pee, Johnny, I got to pee," and he goes, "No peeing." So he keeps driving and drives. "Oh, I got to pee, Johnny, I got to pee." He goes, "No." So finally, my dad pulls over. He says, "Okay, go ahead, take a damn pee." And now he's somewhere between Raleigh and Charlotte. It's 135 miles.
In those back roads.
Rick gets out and takes a leak. My dad drives off and leaves him. So. 100 miles from home and out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, how can you not love that?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Well, my friend.
Well, I mean,
it's just...
this is overwhelming for me.
It is overwhelming. For me, too. We could talk forever about this.
Can I ask one last question?
It's up to Mr. Valentine.
Sure.
Cool.
Well, and this is really to both of you, since you guys trained with Stu Hart. You know, that's the toughest of the tough. WWE's new show, Tough Enough. Do you think any of those kids would last an hour with Stu Hart?
Well, actually, they'd probably be scared. They wouldn't even want. They'd see the house with 25 bucks in it, and he looks like Herman Munster. I think they'd run for the hills. I don't think they'd try it. But first of all, they can't handle the dungeon. They can't handle the Infantigo. Forget it.
That's forget it, Impetigo. Great, and not, you know what, not backing anybody, just casual. Kind of, what do you think of the state, how the industry has evolved? You know, what do you think? They have that Nexus, NXT. And, you know, obviously I'm talking about the WWE. But I'm just kind of saying, as far as it's evolved, what's your opinion on it these days?
Well, my opinion is I hate to watch it.
Well, quit pulling punches, Greg. Damn it.
Yeah, how do you really
I wanted to
feel?
pull punch, but I'm saying the truth right now. I hate to watch it, but I do force myself sometimes to watch it. But I don't see interviews in the ring unless it's done once in a while. I don't like the intensity of. Nobody has the it factor anymore. Maybe John Cena, but I mean, there's nobody, you know, the it factor. That's what I mean. The people excited and see this like it's like a new movie. I mean, seeing a match that they believe in. I mean, there's none of that intensity. It's all hogwash to me.
Yeah.
And number one, they're giving the product away on TV. I want to go back to having some guy come out and beat some slouch out in 5 minutes and talk about how he's going to meet another guy down the road in Cincinnati who's going to beat the crap out of him. They give away their product on television.
Yep.
There's too much television, and I could go on, but, you know.
No, it's 3 hours. That's a long time to watch anything.
That's crazy. I mean, that's like watching baseball for 3 hours. So baseball is more exciting.
It's like watching a porno 5 minutes after you come.
Oh!
Oh!
Who wants to watch the last 2 hours?
And my producer does another backflip. That's 3 this show. We gotta love him. Raymond, you know, I can't. I know that you go.
It's a shame, Roddy, because blood, sweat, and tears. All the blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, me and you. I mean, you're an actor too. You've been in the movies, and you're still doing the movies. And you know. And I believe I could do a movie too, but here's the whole thing. We are mainly just wrestlers, and we beat ourselves to death to make these people believe in this wrestling business, and they've taken it and thrown it out the window.
Yes, sir. And just exactly what you said, Greg, what people don't understand is when the bottom fell out in the Gorgeous George times, and they were doing business and they called us phonies, that black cloud stayed over wrestling for so long that every time we got in the ring, we had to prove to them how tough we were and how much harder we had to hit. And after a long period of time, around like 73 to 75, we had started to get some confidence back in them. 77, 8, 9 people, TBS, you were there, Mid-Atlantic, people were really starting to get back into it where we had regrouped them from the fallout.
They started believing it, and we re-educated them.
Yep.
My dad always said you got to re-educate them. Grab a hold and lay in it for 30 minutes. They'll start screaming.
You betcha. They did. And so...
Now you watch the guys and they're running. I mean, they're great athletes. I can't believe all the stuff these guys do.
They're great.
But that's not wrestling. I mean,
yeah.
You got to get down and show them a fight.
I think so. What we're both saying is, like, we have all the respect. Anybody that answers a bell, we have all the respect in the world for it. It's just that they're putting them in a tunnel, and this is what you need to do. They're not giving them. There's no independent thought. Obey. They live. That's where the good stuff comes from. That's where the magic comes from. And I know you're the same. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get out there. Do you?
The worst thing I ever, I hate, even I still get in the ring once in a while, and because I enjoy it, and a guy will come up to me and say, "What do you want to do?" I go, "Don't talk to me. I'm going to go in and I'm going to beat you, and whatever we do, I'll tell you in the ring."
There you go. Heel's a general. That's a lot Scrum said.
Talk about all this crap you're going to do in the ring. There was some guys back in our day that did it, and you don't have to do. I mean, it comes. You got to do it off the cuff. Just like the comedian there, he knows what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, as a fan,
write down.
I mean, I think you guys were much better and are much better actors. Like, you really sold the characters, and I swear to God, I really thought Abdullah the Butcher was from the Sudan.
Yeah.
The guys today, Roman Reigns is from Beverly Hills. I don't know.
Abdullah the Butcher was from Windsor, Ontario, and he drove a dry cleaning bus.
Yeah. But he was. You guys were such good actors. I just pictured Vince McMahon, flying a cargo ship over to the Sudan and picking him up out of the desert.
I remember Abdullah. We were doing the TV in the middle in the studio at nighttime, and they went to break, and I had to run out. I was working with a couple of guys. My tag partner got hurt. I had to run out and get Abdullah from the parking lot. And I can't remember what it was. I got $1.30 a minute, 30 seconds, and it's live, and boom! I run out there as hard as I can, and he's in a van, and I open the van, and there's huge. What was it? Krispy Kreme donuts in his mouth and the cream coming down. Come on, you fat bastard! And he got about 4 steps and he got running out of air. I pulled that big old boy and we made it just in time for him to go in the ring. He did 15 seconds, tagged me, and I finished the match. It's like, what the hell am I doing here? Glad he drew a lot of money. He drew a lot of money. I love you with all my heart, bud. The fact, I know you don't do any of these, and the fact that you do it for me, I don't know. Yeah, we saw each other. You're real too, my brother.
I remembered you, I think Hacksaw told me that you were doing this, and I remembered that, so I didn't mention it to you.
Yeah.
That I'd love to do it for you, and it's a lot of fun for me too. And
thank you, brother.
And,
I'm honored.
I'm on the beach, and you're in L.A., so...
I'm honored. May you live forever. And
I'm so happy, I'm thinking forward, and that's all I do is think forward, and God bless us all. We're still here. We're still doing our thing, and we don't have to wrestle every night unless we want to. But
yeah. God bless you, Gregory. I love you with all my heart, and... till next time we meet, my friend, I miss you. I do.
Well, I miss you too, Roddy. We will stay in touch via text.
Via text.
Thanks for having me on. It's a real honor for me too, buddy.
Thank you. I love you with all my heart. Greg,
yes,
Hammer Valentine.
the Hammer!
Oh! And that's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you or hear from you again next week, when we have another guest. 1 second, Earl.
Hey, it's a little cold in here. Boy, I sure wish I had a T-shirt from RowdyRoddyPiper.com. Signature shirt only. None of those eBay fucking hucksters. It's real cold. They're real nice made T-shirts. And, my face is cold, too. I really wish I had a They Live mask to put on right now. $79 autographed.
If you go to RowdyRoddyPiper.com, I bet you might be able to find something like that.
Well, I've already done it. All these fans out here, they love you. We want to support you. Your kid going through college.
Yes, she is.
Like certain wrestlers say, don't sing it. Bring your money to PayPal and send it to RowdyRoddyPiper.com. This guy's busted his ass for 41 years, so idiots like you out there and me in here can get entertainment, and this isn't just business, it's life. Support the man. Go buy They Live on Laserdisc or something. Help the guy out.
I love you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Earl Skakel, my co-host. If you get a chance, go to the Comedy Store and see him. He's there. Honest, you'll never forget it. And
that I guarantee.
Yeah, Raymond, my producer, and Paul Bunyan here. Everybody, my manager, Bill. Ow!
Bill.
It's a big Bill. It's a big day. Love you with all my heart. Again, it was a very cool podcast.
Oh, it's two legends.
It's very cool.
Yeah. Defies description.
God bless, man. We'll see you next time. Bye.